Porsche has made a move that immediately caught the attention of the entire automotive world. The company decided to sell its full stake in Bugatti Rimac, walking away from a partnership that once looked strategically perfect. This decision raised serious questions, especially because Porsche is known for making calculated and long-term business choices, not sudden exits. But what made the situation even more interesting was the timing, because at the same moment, Mat Armstrong was dominating online platforms with his viral Bugatti rebuild project. His videos were not just entertainment. They were changing how people viewed hypercars, repairs, and manufacturer control. As Porsche stepped away, many viewers began to connect the dots, wondering if this was just a financial decision or part of a much bigger shift happening behind the scenes. This combination of a major corporate move and a powerful online narrative created a story that quickly spread across the automotive community. For years, Bugatti had been protected by an image of exclusivity and technical complexity, supported by large corporations like Volkswagen and Porsche. Now, with Porsche stepping out and independent content challenging that image, everything suddenly fell uncertain. This is why this moment is being discussed so widely. Not just because Porsche left, but because of what that decision might represent in a changing automotive world where information is no longer controlled by manufacturers alone. After the initial shock settled, attention quickly shifted back to Porsche and the real reasons behind its decision. While online discussions were heavily focused on timing and public perception, the company itself was dealing with deeper financial and strategic pressures. Like many global car manufacturers, Porsche has been navigating a difficult period marked by rising production costs, changing customer demand, and the massive investment required for electric vehicle development. These challenges forced the company to carefully review where its money was being spent and which investments truly supported its long-term goals. In this context, holding a 45% stake in Bugatti Rimac and an additional share in Rimac Group may have started to look less practical. Hypercar projects, while impressive, are extremely expensive and do not generate high sales volumes compared to mainstream performance cars. Porsche's core business is built around its own vehicles, whereas full control over design, production, and profit. Letting go of external investments allowed the company to free up capital and reduce financial risk during uncertain times. From a business point of view, this is a logical move, one that many companies make when they need to refocus. However, because this decision happened alongside growing online discussions about Bugatti's repair systems and exclusivity, it did not stay a simple financial story. Instead, it became part of a much larger conversation, where corporate strategy, public opinion, and digital influence all started to overlap in ways that made the situation feel far more dramatic than it might actually be. To fully understand why this decision matters so much, it is important to look at how Bugatti Rimac was structured before Porsche decided to leave. The joint venture was created in 2021 as a unique partnership that combined a long history and prestige of Bugatti with a modern electric innovation of Rimac Group. At the center of this partnership was Mat Rimac, a young but highly respected figure in the automotive world, known for pushing the limits of electric performance. Porsche held a 45% stake in the company, which gave it strong influence but not full control, while Mat Rimac maintained a majority share and operational leadership. This setup was seen as a smart balance between tradition and innovation. Bugatti could continue building its iconic hypercars, while also preparing for a future that might include hybrid or fully electric models. Porsche's role was not just financial. It also provided stability, experience, and a connection to the larger Volkswagen Group network. However, partnerships like this depend heavily on alignment in long-term goals. As Porsche began focusing more on its own financial health and core strategy, maintaining a significant position in a hypercar-focused joint venture may have become less attractive. By selling its stake, Porsche effectively removed itself from Bugatti's future direction, leaving the brand fully under control of Rimac and its investors. This shift is important because it changes how Bugatti will operate moving forward. Without the direct backing of one of the most powerful automotive groups in the world, as the business side of the story continued to unfold, the influence of Mat Armstrong became harder to ignore, not because he directly affected corporate decisions, but because he changed how people were thinking about Bugatti. His rebuild project of a crashed Bugatti attracted millions of viewers, and with each episode, more questions started to surface about how these cars are maintained and repaired. For years, Bugatti had built an image of extreme complexity, where only a few specialized facilities in the world could properly handle these vehicles. But through detailed documentation, Mat showed that skilled mechanics working outside official networks could still repair major components, fabricate missing parts, and bring the car back to life step by step. This did not mean Bugatti was wrong in its standards, but it did open a new perspective for the public. Suddenly, the idea of complete manufacturer control over repairs began to feel less absolute. When Porsche announced its exit from Bugatti Rimac, many viewers connected these two developments, even if there was no direct link. The timing created a narrative that was easy to believe, a luxury brand's image being questioned at the same moment a major partner steps away. In reality, the situation is likely more complex, but perception plays a powerful role. Once people start to question the brand's exclusivity or technical mystery, that conversation spreads quickly, especially in today's digital world where information travels fast and reaches millions almost instantly. As soon as the news of Porsche stepping away from Bugatti Rimac became widely known, the reaction from the automotive community was immediate and intense. Social media platforms, comment section, and online forums quickly filled with opinions, theories, and debates about what this move really meant. A large number of people strongly believe that the timing was not random, pointing toward the growing popularity of Mat Armstrong and his Bugatti Rebuild series as a key factor in shaping public perception. These viewers argued that once millions of people saw how a crashed hypercar could be repaired outside official channels, it started to challenge the idea that such vehicles required strict manufacturer control. For them, this raised questions about pricing, exclusivity, and the overall business model behind brands like Bugatti. On the other side, many people push back against this idea, explaining that a global company like Porsche does not base its decisions on online videos or public reactions alone. They emphasize that financial data, long-term strategy, and internal planning are far more important factors when making such a significant move. This created a clear divide in opinion, where one side focused on influence and perception, while the other focused on logic and business fundamentals. What makes this situation especially interesting is that both sides highlight something true. Public perception has become incredibly powerful in shaping how brands are viewed, but at the same time, large corporations still rely heavily on numbers and strategy. In this case, Porsche's decision became more than just a financial move. It turned into a larger conversation about how modern media, audience awareness, and transparency are slowly changing the way even the most exclusive automotive brands are understood by the public. With Porsche no longer involved, Bugatti Rimac now enters a completely new phase, one that is both full of opportunity and serious responsibility. Under the leadership of Mat Rimac and backed by private investors, Bugatti is no longer supported by the larger structure of the Volkswagen Group, which for many years provided financial strength, engineering resources, and long-term stability. This change means that Bugatti must now prove it can stand on its own, not just as a symbol of luxury and performance, but also as a sustainable business. This is not an easy task, especially in an automotive world that is rapidly shifting toward electric technology and stricter environmental standards. At the same time, being independent gives Bugatti more creative freedom. Without the influence of a large corporate group, decisions can be made faster and new ideas can be explored more openly. Rimac's experience in high-performance electric vehicles could play a major role in shaping Bugatti's next-generation cars, possibly blending traditional design with advanced electric systems. However, alongside these opportunities comes a new level of public attention. The conversation started by Mat Armstrong and similar creators have made people more curious about how these cars are built, repaired, and maintained. Bugatti will need to carefully manage this attention, balancing its image of exclusivity with a growing demand for transparency. How well it handles this balance will likely determine whether this new independent phase becomes a success or a struggle in the years ahead. When looking at the full situation, the decision by Porsche to exit Bugatti Rimac can be seen from multiple angles, but the most realistic explanation still comes from business logic. Financial pressure, shifting priorities, and the cost of long-term investments in a rapidly changing automotive industry provide a strong foundation for why Porsche would choose to step away. At the same time, the timing of this decision created a powerful narrative online, especially as content from Mat Armstrong continued to challenge traditional ideas about hypercar exclusivity and manufacturer control. Even if there is no direct connection between these events, The overlap between corporate restructuring and viral automotive content has made the situation feel much bigger than a simple business transaction. This is where modern perception becomes important. In today's world, brands are not only shaped by their financial performance, but also by how they are discussed, shared, and interpreted across digital platforms. Porsche's exit has therefore become more than just a financial decision. It has become part of a wider conversation about transparency, exclusivity, and the future of high-performance cars. Meanwhile, Bugatti moves forward independently, facing both new freedom and new pressure under Mat Armstrong's leadership. Whether this new era becomes a success story or a difficult transition will depend on how well the company adapts to changing expectations, both from the market and from a public that is now more informed and more vocal than ever before. When we step back and look at the full picture involving Porsche, Bugatti Rimac, and the wider automotive world, it becomes clear that this story is not really about a single event, but about a much bigger shift happening in the industry itself. Porsche's decision to leave a major hypercar partnership is, at its core, a strategic business move shaped by financial pressure, global market changes, and the need to focus on its own long-term direction. Companies of this size constantly evaluate where their money and influence are best used, and sometimes it means stepping away from projects that, while prestigious, do not directly support core profitability goals. At the same time, the rise of online automotive content created by people like Mat Armstrong has added a completely new layer to how these decisions are interpreted by the public. For years, hypercar brands like Bugatti control their image through exclusivity, limited access, and tightly managed repair systems. But now that barrier is being challenged by transparent, real-world rebuilds shared online with millions of viewers. This does not mean manufacturers are wrong or that their engineering standards are fake. But it does mean the audience is no longer passive. People can now see inside processes that were once hidden, and that naturally changes perception. So when Porsche exited the joint venture, many viewers did not see it only as a financial decision. They saw it through the lens of this new transparency era, where every major move is instantly analyzed, questioned, and connected to wider narratives. In reality, the truth is likely a combination of several factors. Porsche's financial restructuring needs, the evolving direction of the automotive industry, and the growing influence of digital storytelling that shapes how brands are perceived. Bugatti, now operating independently under Mat Armstrong, stands at crossroads where it must balance tradition with innovation, exclusivity with openness, and legacy with future survival. Whether this transition becomes a success story or a difficult reinvention will depend not just on engineering or funding, but on how well the brand adapts to a world where control of a narrative is no longer fully in the hands of manufacturers, but shared with millions of viewers watching, commenting, and questioning every move in real time. That in the end, the entire situation involving Porsche leaving Bugatti Rimac is less about one dramatic reason and more about how the modern automotive world is changing in front of our eyes. Big companies are no longer operating in a closed environment where only financial reports and internal meetings shape their decisions. Today, everything exists in a space where public opinion, online content, and viral storytelling can influence how people perceive even the most elite brands. At the same time, creators like Mat Armstrong have shown that cars once considered untouchable can be rebuilt, analyzed, and understood in ways that were never widely shared before. This shift does not take away from the engineering excellence of brands like Bugatti or Porsche, but it does change the emotional distance between manufacturers and the public. People are now more informed, more curious, and more willing to question long-standing claims about exclusivity and control. For Bugatti, this means entering a future where its identity will be tested not only by competitors or financial pressures, but also by how the world sees and discusses its products online. For Porsche, it reflects a focus on efficiency, survival, and strategic clarity in a rapidly evolving industry. And for the audience, it marks a new era where automotive stories are no longer just about cars. They are about power, perception, and how quickly narratives can shift when information becomes global within seconds. Ultimately, the separation between Porsche and Bugatti Rimac shows how fast the automotive world is evolving, not just in engineering, but in mindset. What once looked like permanent partnerships and untouchable brand structures can now change in a single strategic decision driven by financial pressure, global competition, and shifting priorities. At the same time, creators like Mat Armstrong represent a new layer of influence, where real-world rebuilds and transparent documentation can reshape how millions of people view hypercars, luxury, and exclusivity. Even if these worlds, corporate boardrooms and YouTube garages, are completely separate in reality, they now exist in the same public conversation. One side focuses on balance sheets and long-term survival, while the other focuses on visibility, access, and breaking down hidden systems for everyone to see. And in between these two worlds, public perception grows stronger every day, often deciding what feels true long before official statements are even understood. This is why the Porsche Bugatti situation has attracted so much attention. It is not just about ownership changes, but about a deeper shift in how authority, information, and trust work in the automotive industry today. Whether this moment is remembered as a simple financial restructuring or symbolic turning point will depend on what happens next. But one thing is already clear. The era of controlled narratives in the car world is slowly fading, and a more open, questioned, and highly visible future has already begun. At this point, the story of Porsche leaving Bugatti Rimac is no longer just about business restructuring or ownership changes. It has become a reflection of how fast the automotive world is changing in the digital age. What used to be controlled by a few powerful manufacturers is now being questioned by millions of viewers online, where creators like Mat Armstrong can spark global discussions simply by showing what happens behind the scenes of a single car rebuild. Whether or not his work had any real influence on Porsche's decision, the fact that people are even debating it shows a major shift in how trust, authority, and brand image now work. In the past, companies controlled the story. Today, the story is shared, challenged, and rewritten in real time by the internet. And in that environment, even giants like Porsche and Bugatti are no longer just engineering legends. They are part of a much bigger conversation that is constantly evolving. In the end, the whole situation involving Porsche stepping away from Bugatti Rimac is a clear example of how modern automotive stories are no longer simple business updates, but complex events shaped by finance, technology, and public perception all at the same time. On the surface, Porsche's decision can be explained through financial pressure, shifting priorities, and the need to focus on its core identity during a rapidly changing car industry where electrification, rising costs, and global competition are forcing even the strongest companies to make difficult choices. But at the same time, the timing of this move created a wave of online discussion, especially as content from Mat Armstrong continued to show millions of viewers that even the most exclusive hypercars are not as untouchable or mysterious as they were once believed to be. This combination of corporate strategy and digital storytelling has created a new kind of reality, where business decisions are no longer interpreted only through official statements, but also through the lens of viral videos, public comments, and global speculation. Whether or not these worlds are directly connected, the perception alone is powerful enough to shape conversations across the entire automotive community. And that is the key point in all of this. Today, it is not just companies that define the story of a brand, but also the audience watching unfold in real time, questioning every decision, connecting every event, and turning corporate moves into global narratives that spread far beyond boardrooms and factories.